Right now on the National Weather Desk, wicked winter weather. Bitter cold and snow descends on much of the nation. Our team of reporters and meteorologists are in the elements for you this morning.
Where the temperatures are 8 degrees below zero and the wind chill is negative 30 degrees.
Proceed with caution. Blink, blink, blink. Proceed with caution.
The storm is hitting some communities as they are still cleaning up from devastating floods.
Where the mud and the debris are piled up.
We'll tell you about a new initiative designed to get you up to the minute road conditions.
Can you give me specific places somebody should go and look if they're trying to figure out what travel conditions are going to be like?
And we'll help you better understand how wind chill works.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Winter firmly has its grip on much of the nation this morning, with bitter cold and snow affecting 140 million Americans. The latest winter storm brought snow on Tuesday to Arkansas and portions of the Midwest. Now, that storm is now moving east, with winter storm warnings stretching all the way to the Atlantic. Norfolk, Virginia could see up to 10 inches of snow by tomorrow afternoon. Even portions of South Carolina are under a winter weather advisory. And then there's the polar vortex that's gripping the nation's midsection. Oklahoma City dipped to 2 degrees this morning, breaking the all-time low for this day set 4 years ago. It was 14 degrees overnight in Dallas this morning in Sioux City, South Dakota, and 5 degrees in Chicago. And some of these cities will stay cold for some time. Meteorologist Jordan Evans looks at what's to come over the next few days.
Some of the coldest air so far this season, moving into the middle of the country with Arctic high pressure building in and extreme cold warnings stretching all the way from the Canadian border south into Texas. That means overnight temperatures well below the average. Where we have those darker blues, these are not wind chill values. These are actual air temperatures down to -10 in Kansas City. 15 for Dallas, even Houston, New Orleans falling below freezing by tomorrow morning. For Friday, that colder air pushes farther to the south and east. Atlanta waking up to 20 degrees, Nashville down to 10, and even St. Louis waking up to 3 degrees as well. By Saturday, the cold air starts to move out, but still quite chilly to start your weekend, and temperatures do climb across the nation by next week. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans.
We have team coverage of the weather from across the country this morning. We start in Tennessee, where Madeline Nolan shows us people aren't just battling the cold and the snow, but also floodwaters that are still high from last weekend.
I really don't even know how to put words to it, because they have this blanket of snow pretty much over this lake, which is not really a lake. It is still those really high floodwaters here. This is actually North Woodstock Drive in Clarksville, just off of I-24. Just tragic. You know, all of these people in this neighborhood, along with many others, are dealing with this morning. They have floodwaters. They can't even get out of their homes, or they can't even access their homes or vehicles. Really, really thick snow and ice. Like, my feet very, very covered, and it's hard. Not the best conditions to drive in, and that is why the Clarksville police department, as well as the city of Clarksville, said that they had over 200 calls for service just last night.
It is cold, freezing, and one thing that we can see is out here on these roads, it is pretty slick. The more and more that cars are passing through, the more you can see it's getting a little more icy. That ice is appearing more. Caution lights are one thing that we have seen a lot. So that is one thing to keep in mind. That is the tale of the day, to proceed with caution. And right here, when I touch this isn't the type of snow that you really get out and do snow angels that you can make snowballs with. It's really not. And it's actually extremely windy out here, as we were saying again, and it's just really something that you need to pay attention to, that wind when you're walking out here on these roads, because just stepping out, trying to get to your car, it's not as safe as it could be, honestly. So this is a safety hazard for walking and drivers alike.
I'm Guy Robinson Jr. in Kearney, where the temperatures are 8 degrees below zero and the wind chill is negative 30 degrees. degrees, which can lead to frostbite in just 5 to 10 minutes. Unconfirmed reports say Kearney has received 1 to 3 inches of snow so far.
I'm Jack Bartlett here in Buffalo County, where it feels like negative 23 degrees outside here in Kearney, but that isn't stopping the University of Nebraska Kearney from holding classes.
I was very shocked when they said we were still going to have school. And I had like 4 kids in my first class, so I mean, it's like we have school, but we kind of don't.
OKC Street Superintendent Chris Daniels tells me the biggest challenge hasn't even been the amount of precipitation that we've been getting, but rather the frigid cold temperatures. He says after about 15 degrees, and once it gets into those single digits, salt doesn't show to be too effective in melting snow and ice. And he says that impacts the way crews go about responding to the winter weather. Given that they've already used 500 tons of salt and 100 tons of beet juice, here's the plan to ensure they're not wasting away valuable salt.
We will still utilize our material, but we will use less of it, so that when the sun does come out and temperatures do rise a little bit, the material is there and ready to work.
The city has 1,300 miles of snow and ice routes, so it's going to take a little bit before they can treat all of them.
Determination is a wonderful quality, but when it comes to dominating icy roads, the incline at 14th and the funeral home on the corner were just waiting to put those ambitions to rest as the pickup truck tried in vain to climb. Navigating anywhere today was not easy.
For us nights who enjoy spending time outside, it could be a difficult couple of days.
I always have the routine of walking by the river.
Josue Martinez visits Auditorium Shores daily.
I work from home, so I got to get out of the house sometime.
He says he'll have to rethink that for the rest of the week with the possibility of wind chills in the single digits.
The last time it dropped to maybe 20, like a couple weeks ago, I walked one time and yeah, I was kind of feeling it.
Well, folks in flood-ravaged Southwest Virginia were working hard to clean up as much as possible before the storm arrived. Liam Bridgman has more.
I'm here at the center of the Hurley community of Southwest Virginia, where the mud and the debris are piled up after the most recent flooding event. Neighbors are using what they have to remove mud and debris before snow heads to the area and stalls any progress. I spoke with one resident, Donnie Stevens, who's been through this situation before, and he told me this event might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
It's just give me enough sense to try to get moved out of here. That's what it's done for me, but it's too much work for an old man trying to clean up after this.
With so much of the country dealing with freezing temperatures or winter precipitation, experts are now cautioning about the potential dangers those frigid conditions can actually bring. Ailey Stamos has more on the increase in accidents during snowy and also icy conditions.
Every time there's any kind of snow and ice, there is an increase in accidents.
Medical professionals stressing how fast things can go south in the wintry conditions.
And the most common injuries that we see with ice and snow are breaks to the wrist, breaks to the ankle, breaks to the shoulder.
Doctors say it's important to note just how fast a slippery ground can turn dangerous. While it may seem like an obvious precaution, a surface like this may take some by surprise.
These type of slips and falls, because, you know, we're going about our daily business and we're not really thinking about, you know, what's underfoot, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're on the ground.
Life-threatening circumstances also not off the table.
Frostbite and hypothermia, there is a result of cold weather.
Hypothermia and frostbite quick to settle in below freezing temperatures.
Most important thing, if you're ever immersed in water or get wet in the cold, is to get those wet clothes off and get into a warm area quickly.
Doctors saying the best protocol for prevention, precaution.
Heightened awareness is, I think, the best prevention of these type of slips and falls.
And for all the latest weather news and video, you can find us on social media. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how the Department of Transportation and the National Weather Service are teaming up to make winter travel safer. And we're going to hear the story of one man who is using art to help bring attention to the health of Montana rivers.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. Another seasonably cool day is on tap in the Northeast today. The good news is we'll have lighter winds. Temps are running in the 20s and 30s for highs. Early morning lows will be around 0, if not sub-zero, for a good chunk of the area. That's 8 o'clock in the morning, of course. We should see a decent amount of sun this afternoon. There'll be more clouds back into New York. Now, a storm will miss us just off to the south for the first time in a couple of weeks. This one will miss New England, with all that snow staying just off to our east.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. We are tracking this disturbance moving to the south. This will bring some snowfall, especially from around Annapolis, Maryland, all the way down through Richmond and parts of southern Maryland. Northern Maryland, not likely to get a lot of snowfall. Any accumulations would be very light, but Virginia especially will get some of the brunt of the system. Temperatures will be chilly as the system rolls by. The 30s will be for highs going into your afternoon. Thursday, still chilly, but warmer into the weekend.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed, looking at cool temperatures up there where we're seeing that winter storm pushing through up around Nashville, 28 degrees, 33 in Raleigh, 49 in Macon. Temperatures in the 70s. Tampa, you got to get down to West Palm, 84 degrees. We're looking at nice conditions there. Strong storms moving across parts of the northern portions of Florida and through Atlanta. Some heavy rain. A lot of snow that's coming down across parts of Tennessee over towards Chattanooga into Raleigh and then up into parts of Virginia. Messy situation later today.
The National Weather Desk.
During a major snow system, up-to-date road conditions and forecasts are critical to safety. A collaborative initiative between the Department of Transportation and the National Weather Service called Pathfinder aims to do just that. Emily Gracie spoke to a team member to learn how they are communicating these crucial updates to the public.
The goal here is not always as much on the meteorology, while it's really important to understand what's going to happen, but really understanding how do you communicate that with the travelers so they know when to be prepared for potential impacts while driving.
How do you communicate effectively?
You know, the general media at this point has been, social media, but really for the traveler on the road is those dynamic message signs. There's a lot of communication that goes on there. And just as technology has grown, we're seeing more and more of those, especially in the urban areas, but now even in the rural areas, as you travel outside of maybe the main metroplexes, you'll actually start to see more of those message boards and giving you heads up that, hey, 6 hours from now, you may be traveling into bad conditions. And I think that was one of the key things they were working on, is trying to figure out how do we communicate for the advancement of information. So if you're traveling from one location to the next, I don't care what's going to happen where I'm at right now, but what is it going to be 6 hours from now, wherever I'm going?
Can you give me specific places somebody should go and look if they're trying to figure out what travel conditions are going to be like?
Yeah, so one of the great places is there's a federal program called 511, and so 511 is a great place to get information. So each state has their own map that provides visibility into the roads, and so it's coming from the DOTs themselves, and that'll give you information about current weather and road condition information and potential impacts. So each state kind of handles that differently on how they present that to the information. So
is it like a website or a Facebook page?
Each state's going to have their own. So what I would recommend is anybody that has, if they're in a specific state. So for Virginia, just type in Virginia 511 and you'll get hit with that state. 511 is actually a phone number people can call as well. You can dial that number and then actually go through a voice activation. It'll tell you information about where you're at as well.
With all the cold weather across the country, heaters will be working overtime, but firefighters are sounding the alarm and warning of the risk that comes with blasting that heat. Mark Cholette has more.
So we'll see an increase in close calls and fires all throughout the community.
When temperatures drop, things heat up at fire stations.
We see an increase in the January, February, March, when the cold snaps hit, of alternative heat sources being some part of the cause of the fire.
To stay warm, more and more folks are counting on things like electric blankets and space heaters to take the chill off.
There's a lot going on between those cords, and people should be aware of what's going on there.
Should be, but often aren't. And that can lead to close calls or all-out fires at homes. Firefighters like Jake want to remind you of a few things.
If you're using multiple units on one outlet, that could be a very big problem. If you're using some extension cord or power tap or surge protector to extend the reach of that appliance, that could be a problem.
Ditch the extension cords and have the heater be the only thing in an individual outlet box. Also, before you plug it in, check the cord.
And it's frayed or kinked or damaged, now you're introducing a lot more energy, and if it finds a ground or it becomes compromised, it could start a fire rather quickly.
Place the heater with at least 3 feet of space around it and nothing combustible nearby, and then don't overdo it.
If you're using them for a prolonged period of time, you're just increasing your risk of creating a fire hazard.
These are intended to take the chill off a room, not replace a household heating method.
If you don't have a furnace that is capable of keeping up with the weather, you need to make that investment.
And one question we get here at the National Weather Desk, can it ever be too cold for snow to form? So we asked meteorologist Tara Blake to tackle that question for us.
The question is, can it ever be too cold to snow? Well, it snows in some of the coldest places on Earth, like Antarctica. So no, too cold is unlikely. We're talking -10 where we start to have potential issues. But too dry, that's a possibility. The difference is colder temperatures hold less moisture. And so it's going to completely change the kind of snow that you get and the amount. It can keep your totals lower, which is actually playing a factor into our snow tonight. But it also means that those flakes are going to be a lot smaller. When you have warmer air interacting at 32, 34, 36 with snow, you've got a lot more to tap into. The flakes get bigger, they collide, and then they fall. So that's where you get those really impressive snows.
And rivers play a crucial role for communities across Montana, but many of those waterways are up against increased challenges. Brianna Carroll has a story of one man who is using art to help bring attention to the health of local rivers.
I'm passionate about rivers. I grew up on rivers, fishing them, looking at them, trying to understand the creatures inside of them.
A lifelong fly fisher, Ben Miller has spent the past 8 years using his fly rod a little differently. The Gallatin is one of Miller's favorite rivers to paint. But over the years, he has noticed the Gallatin start to change.
Things are kind of warming up. Even the Gallatin, since I've been painting on it, up towards Big Sky, all of a sudden there's these massive algae blooms. And they never had them before. And the water's almost neon green.
Rising temperatures, decreasing snowpack, and rapid development are putting strain on the river. And experts say there is a limited window of time to take action to reverse the damage.
Having neon green algal blooms that trace dozens of miles on a river, that means that our rivers are sick.
Gael Sensor has been working on river protection for over 15 years. He says algae blooms are the result of nutrient pollution, specifically a buildup of nitrogen and phosphorus. While these elements occur naturally, he says development activities can increase their levels through stormwater runoff. And rapid snowmelt can further exacerbate the problem, leading to fewer flushing events that keep the river clean and warmer water temperatures ideal for the growth of algae.
We can't control how much sunlight, we can't control how much it snows, but we gosh darn well can do a better job of how and where we develop.
If current conditions go unchecked, Sensor says the impacts on wildlife, agriculture, and the outdoor recreation economy could be dire. But he says there are things that can be done now to safeguard the health of the river, such as taking a precautionary approach to development, implementing the best available pollution control technology, and executing a science-based cleanup plan. Painting with a purpose, Miller's art helps to raise awareness of the challenges that endangered rivers like the Gallatin face by documenting the changes that occur in an objective manner.
I don't know a better way to have it explained as through art.
And time now for a short break, but first we take in views of sunrise over Commencement Bay in Tacoma, Washington.
Well, a very good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We have some snow moving its way through the Ohio Valley and out of here for the day today, but more will try to develop across the Ohio Valley into the day tomorrow and Great Lakes. Sunshine coming out across the plains, though, for your Thursday, but it's going to be very cold. The good news is temperatures are slowly starting to warm up later this week. Dry for most of us for Friday and a lot of the weekend.
Well, a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast across the region. It is bitter cold temperatures, single digits, teens, 20s, 30s. To get the day started, colder with the wind. You can see through the afternoon, some sunshine and cloudiness lingers around New Orleans. Very cold temperatures through the day Wednesday. Thursday morning, bitter cold start to the day with a lot of sunshine. We'll see highs 20s and 30s across the region.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm meteorologist Stella Sun. I'm tracking a storm system that will push rain, gusty winds, as well as mountain snow through the Pacific Northwest. Most areas will stay dry towards Southern California and in the desert Southwest. That's because high pressure is in control. Daytime highs will be in the upper 70s in Phoenix, in the middle 60s in Los Angeles, 7 degrees in San Diego. Off and on rain showers expected through the Pacific Northwest with temperatures in the low 50s and upper 40s. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, when it comes to the cold, we most often turn to the thermometer to determine if we need to pull out that thick winter coat or can just get away with a light sweater. But wind chill also plays a major role in how cold you feel. Here's a recent Instagram post from meteorologist Lindsay Storrs explaining wind chill.
You've probably heard the term wind chill before, and you know that when the wind is blowing, it feels colder than when the wind isn't blowing. But do you know the science behind why it feels colder when the wind is blowing? Take a look. When the air temperature is cold, our bodies lose heat to the air through convection. When there is little to no wind, a layer of that heat remains to help us stay warmer. But when it's windy, the moving air breaks up that insulating warm air and pulls heat away from your body faster, which makes it feel colder than it actually is. And now you know why the wind makes it feel so cold.
And looking for more weather videos just like this, be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us on your favorite platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.